According to the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, the COVID infection rate in the Black community in the United States is 2.6 times higher than other racial groups. The hospitalization rate is 4.6 times higher for Black people, and the death rate for COVID in the Black community is 2.1 times higher than other racial groups. Well, joining us now is infection disease specialist and trauma surgeon Dr. Lane Rowling, here to educate us on proper biosafety protocols to protect against COVID-19. Thanks for joining us again, Dr. Rowling.
Good evening. How you guys doing?
Doing good. Glad you're here with us. So, Dr. Rowland, you say the best way to protect yourself from COVID-19 is understanding how it spreads. You break it down with the 7 F's and 1 R. Let's start with the face.
Okay, well, the face is very important. Where people are having contact with their hands, the virus can be, contracted in your eyes, through your nose, and also through breathing it in and through your pharyngeal area. So that's a very important face. And so people need to make sure that they're not touching their face on a regular basis. Most people don't understand the world of infectious diseases. Most people touch their face 100 times a day on the average. And so you can imagine you're out in public, you're touching things, you come home, you think you get inside of your house and you become secure, and all of a sudden you're touching your face. So that's a number one, face transmission is a very serious part of the process.
And then also tell us about the feet. That's another one.
Well, we say the foot is very important. And when we say the foot, what we're really talking about is shoes. In this pandemic, and what we try to teach people and what we've developed at SRS is biosafety and biosecurity protocols that is proven to be the game-changing technology that's going to save people's lives. So, for example, a lot of people don't realize you can have all the great biosecurity protocols in the world, but if you're not decontaminating the bottom of your shoes, so you can imagine you can have somebody going to the mall, somebody going to a school, somebody getting on an airplane. That virus can be tracked on the bottom of your shoes, and that virus can drop off once it gets to inside that entity or that facility, and that virus can become airborne and affect other people. So, it's very important to have the technology to disinfect your shoes before you get into your house, get into your to the building you're working in, to a school, and that's a very important transmission mode.
And this is all mind-boggling right now. And let's go to the fingers. What about the fingers?
Well, fingers are probably is a very significant vector in the transmission. If you think about it, you think about people shaking people's hands, people touching ATM machines, people touching gas handles, pumps, or they go to your local Walmart and they're pushing a cart. The fingers are very contaminated, and most people do not have proper bathroom habits. And so you can imagine somebody using the bathroom, and especially in this is not a pandemic anymore. This is an endemic disease. An endemic, and this disease is here all the time. So you can imagine somebody uses a bathroom, they got it on their fingers, and they shake your hand, or they become a spreader of the disease by just through hands transmission through the fingers. So it's very important for people to disinfect with the best they can have.
And number 4 is flies.
Flies is an all-time vector for transmitting diseases. For example, flies live in feces, and when they land on your food or land on your cup, they can transmit the virus, bacteria by their life cycle, because a lot of people don't realize that viruses regurgitate. So they suck up feces. They eat off the feces, and when they land on your hamburger or your chicken or your cup, they regurgitate that. And when they regurgitate that vomit, it has viruses and bacteria. So that can be a transmitter of the SARS-CoV virus also.
You should see my face over here. So what about, I'm sorry, I'm like, wow. And what about food?
Well, foods is very notorious in the transmission of infectious diseases. And I'm glad you're giving the folks out there the basic knowledge of what we learn in infection. If you understand how diseases are transmitted, you can decrease and contain and do mitigation of the virus. Well, for example, food. We have found the SARS-CoV virus in frozen chicken wings. We found it in hamburger meat, pork, beef plant. So you can imagine a meat plant that has employees in there that are affected, and they're breathing, and they're breathing. The air has lots of viral load. The viruses land on the meat, You wrap it up in a package. They freeze it. They ship it from, Illinois to Tallahassee, Florida. You unthaw it and you touch the outside of that package, touch your face, you can get infected. Or you undercook that food and the virus is still in the food, and you touch your face again, you can transmit it. So, and we found the SARS-CoV virus actually is present in a lot of the food sources here in the world and also here in America.
And tell us about Fomite.
Well, a Fomite is an inanimate object. That could be your cell phone. That could be a salt shaker. That could be a book. It could be a pencil. The very first case in Germany was off a salt shaker. A Chinese individual worked for the German Bavaria Motor Company. They were in a cafeteria. The German employee asked the Chinese person to pass the salt shaker. And that salt shaker was ground zero and started the whole entire infection in the country of Germany. So an inanimate object has to be considered in this new endemic that virus can be on that. And that virus can be on there for 3 days, 4 days, 7 days. So you have to make sure that you're decontaminating these inanimate objects with the best solution on the planet to make sure that you don't get infected.
And lastly, Dr. Rowland, very quickly, just describe some of those products that you offer to help with prevention for COVID-19.
Well, myself, as a chief medical officer for SRS and Charles Pickett, we come up with the best technology on the planet to be able to give people the best safety security protocols to protect themselves. We came up with the ideal of mats to disinfect people's feet. We have developed, and I helped co-develop the biodecontamination units that we put in hospitals to decontaminate people from the top of the head to the bottom of the shoes. We've taken that and we made it into a mini decontamination where everybody has access to it to be able to disinfect themselves. We have Safe Palms is another thing that we have at SRS that gives us ability. This is very game-changing technology. I want everybody out there to realize that when you wash your hands with soap and water does not kill microorganisms, period. Absolutely. If you wash your hands with soap and water, you have a chance of getting sick, and you can still get them with the virus and them dying. You have to have stuff that actually kills viruses, bacteria, and also fungus on your hands in the last 24 hours. It's very important for kids to really understand that, and for parents to make sure that their kids have the best technology to disinfect their hands and also be educated on that. It's very important for people to have mats in their homes and their schools for public entrance into buildings, because the feet or the bottom of their foot is very contaminated. And you can imagine somebody in a bathroom, they use a bathroom, somebody's asymptomatic or is SARS-CoV positive, they flush that toilet, that feces becomes aerolized in that bathroom. So the bathroom has to be controlled, and we at SRS have developed the biosafety and biosecurity protocols to make that happen, i.e. we have a solution called SRS Solution Disinfecting, actually kill the SARS-CoV virus, and it's non-toxic. That's how it works.
Awesome. All great stuff. Dr. Rowland, thank you so much for joining us again tonight. All great advice there.
Hey, I want to thank you guys for having me on. I look forward to it. And the question is, the second wave is here. That's reality. So the second wave is here, and everybody needs to prepare themselves over the next 4 months. And I look forward to coming back and give you guys some great information.
We appreciate that. We'll see you next time.
Take care. Bye.
Well, coming up on BNC Sports, our James Hill has an exclusive interview with former LA Lakers player turned HBCU basketball coach. A look at his time on the courts then and now. Stay with us.